Hey guys, welcome to Bid Nerd, your daily nerd on the most interesting car of the day on all the automotive enthusiast auction sites. We've got a new auction site on deck that we're going to talk about. I don't know if we've ever reviewed a car from this particular site, but before we get to that, you're here and my partner Michael Deeb over there in San Francisco. How you doing, Michael Deeb?
What's up, dude? Yeah, we've never worked with Shiftgate before. I wouldn't call them new. I think they've been around for over a year. They've been a media channel for a long time, writing articles and posting pictures online. But this might be the first time we cover a car on Shiftgate. So I'm kind of cool to take a little dive on that.
That's right. Hey, guys, if you're ever in Las Vegas, make sure you come and visit me in the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas. We are on the second floor in the Rami studio. You can see me here all the time. I never leave. I'm almost always here, so come and say hello. But let's get to the car of the day. What we do on this auction... Excuse me, guys. What we do on this channel is we pick the most interesting car of the day from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites like P-Car Market, Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, and today we're bringing you a car from Shiftgate.
Yeah. So really quickly, Shiftgate, I think, is based in Indianapolis, Indiana. The guys who founded it, I think, are race car drivers. And so I believe they probably have headquarters in Indianapolis, being close to the speedway there. And I think they also have a lot of experience racing in Canada. So while Shiftgate is based in the United States, I would say half or more than half of the cars that they're representing on their auction space are located in Canada. These guys have a very good media channel. They seem to be super enthusiastic about what they do, and they will hold your hand through the entire process of bringing cars back and forth between the Canadian and American markets. So if you have any confusion or any apprehension, they are available to help you with that process before you bid. On their auction platform.
Well, hold on. Whoa. Whoa, what are you doing? Are we endorsing Shiftgate? That was a glowing review of a website that's an interesting. Okay, just for the record, they don't pay us, all right?
No,
and
one
of the two hosts of this show seems to be very enamored with Shiftgate. I am not impressed with Shiftgate at all. That's nice that they offer some of those services, but what are they sold, like 4 cars? I mean, this site gets no freaking traffic, and maybe this car today will change that. It's just so what do we got here?
Yeah. They might have been waiting for Bid Nerds to do something on them so that would help them take off and they'd gain traction. An old friend of mine named Stacy started working for them after their auction site was live, and I have wanted for a very long time to cover a car, for my old friend with her new job, and it's been nearly a year since we've been able to do so. A lot of the cars are based in Canada, and they haven't had cars that you and I would think are particularly cool. And this car finally meets all that criteria. So located in Arcadia, California, is this 2014 Porsche 911 50th anniversary edition. I love this car. I wish it were a manual. This car is equipped with a PDK. It's showing about 52,000 miles, but the details that Porsche put into the 50th anniversaries are really cool. First of all, it came in 3 colorways. One is called Geyser Gray, which is a very pearl metallic color. Think of like metallic eggnog. The other one is like a flat black, but then they have this color, which I wrote down. Do you know this color off the top of your head?
I do not.
It's graphite pearl, and this is my favorite because it's a color that Porsche used, probably by a different name, back in the early 60s when the 911 was a brand new car. Porsche made 1,963, that's 1963, as a homage to the year that the car debuted to the world, and then went into production a year later in 1964, making 2014 the 50th anniversary of the 911. You'll notice right away wheels that look like the Fuchs wheels from the G bodies of the 70s and 80s. The Papita inserts on the seats are optional, but almost everybody that ordered one of these got them. And then probably maybe my favorite detail, John, and I'll be interested to see if you share my opinion on this, that the green faced gauges are probably the coolest aspect of this car, as a throwback to the gauges that were on the early 911s in the 1960s. These cars are all equipped, importantly, with the X51 power kit, which brings these early 991.1 normally aspirated 911s up to a respectable 430 brake horsepower. And I will go out on a limb, John, and say this is arguably my favorite contemporary 911 that isn't a GT car. I would take one of these in graphite gray, equip mine with sports seats with the Pepita. I want the manual transmission. You can keep the sunroof, but I'll take the rear wiper. This car does not have a sunroof. It does not have a rear wiper, and it does not have the sport seats. But that's how I would take mine. I love these. If I find one that looks the way I want it, I would pay the big money to get one. So, John, Shiftgate, Arcadia, California, and the 2014 911, which is not just a cosmetic makeover. This car's got, I think, real materials and real grunt from the motor. What do you think? What's your take on this car? And what's your take on Shiftgate's attempt to auction against some of the big boys at this point? You know?
Yeah, these are beautiful cars. In other episodes, I make it a point to make fun of people who pay extra for cosmetic packages that Porsche slings on moronic Porsche buyers. There are a lot of moronic Porsche buyers out there. Porsche can put a sticker package on something, paint it a weird color, and just idiots will just get in line to give up extra money. This car, could you get an S that year with the power kit with an X51? I don't know if you
Probably.
could. And they didn't have GTSs yet, so this seems to me like kind of a GTS version before there were 991 GTSs. I have owned a 14 991S without the exclusive power kit. And I will tell you that is one of the most magnificent cars I've ever driven. Just a regular old S with a manual is where it's at. Why the original owner of this car didn't order it with a manual. Look, if you didn't order one of these with a manual, you deserve to be slapped in the face so hard. If you had the
Seriously.
option to get, a 7-speed with a third pedal, come on, man. It kind of reminds me of the second gen 991 GT3s that were available with manuals, and there were still idiots that bought them with PDKs.
Right.
I mean, what the hell? Look, if your intention is to drive on the track, then the PDK is definitely the superior transmission. If you're intending to drive on the street, you're an idiot to not get a manual if you can. You're just straight up dumb. That said, PDKs are still pretty darn magnificent. This is a beautiful car. That interior you cannot get in any other setup. The Pepita, and I'm with you on those green gauges. How cool is
gorgeous.
that?
They did such a good job.
Yeah.
Such a good job. It's beautiful.
And those wheels too. I mean, now those wheels were made available on some other 991s later, weren't they?
Yeah.
So so the big question is, can this auction site, can Shiftgate bring the money for it? Another little detail that I think is interesting about this car is the silver trim around the windows, which is kind of the same thing that they did on the touring versions of the 991 GT3s. Yeah.
Right.
So that's also kind of a cool look at it. At first glance, you're like, hey, is that a GT3? But it's not. Pretty darn cool car. Is it worth that much more than an S? I don't know. It certainly is by the book. Is it worth it? What do you guys think? Is this car worth paying a premium over an S that's comparably equipped?
Yeah, it's hard to say, John. They made 2,000 of these. I mean, that's a big number. It's you say, oh, it's a limited edition. It ain't that limited. They're out there.
That sounds like Mustang limited. Ford always says, or limited edition Camaro. They only made 6,000 of these in this color. It's like, wow, that's rare, dude.
Limited to me has to be like, even when they make 500 of something, I don't think it's that limited. It's when they get down to like sub 400 numbers, you say, that's really limited. You're lucky to see one. But these cars are out there. You can find them. This is a nice one. It's got a few miles on it, but it's in really beautiful condition, and it's here in California. Not a fan of the PDK, but the miles might keep the price, sort of reasonable. The big question is, what is the consignor expecting to get from this car? And they brought it to market on Shiftgate. While we sort of welcome them to the party, it's not unfair to say that Shiftgate is still a small fish playing in a pretty big pond, and they don't have a big market share. So how big is Shiftgate's audience actually? Maybe we could get Stacy to come on the show one time and talk about it and see if she would reveal any of the numbers as to how many people actually view their auctions. They've got 7 days until this thing closes, John, and they've only got 8 bids on the car, so it's got a ways to go. Sitting at $67,000 on just 8 bids with a week left. Where's this one going to land?
Hold on a second though. You mentioned okay, it's got a week to go. That's usually how long an auction is on all the other auction sites. So this site has 2 weeks. Is that am I correct on that?
I think I'm not sure exactly, but when the car comes on here, it runs for 12 days. And last week, you remember we were talking and I said, oh yeah, we're going to cover a car on Shiftgate. But we couldn't cover it yet because it wasn't going to close the show.
I think that if the Shiftgate people are watching, Stacy, I think that's a huge mistake. I think it's a huge mistake. It's too long. If I see something on there, I'm going to forget about it. And I know you guys have reminder functions and that kind of stuff, but when you're actively searching for a car and looking to buy a car, it's like what's available right now. A week almost is too much, especially when you've got 10 different auction sites you're looking at. 12 days is just too long. It's just... I think the reason why they're doing this is because they don't have any cars on their site, so they got to keep it populated with inventory.
That might be it. I don't know for certain, but I agree. As a person who's worked, in the sales end of it, we talk about a customer being ethered up on a car, and I much as a pain the car for 2 weeks, that customer's ether can either wear off, or they'll find something else that's closing sooner because they've got 2 weeks to shop against your car, and then they might just fall off the car and onto something else. So that'd be interesting to find out what their motivation is on that. Yeah. But anyway, this car, JP, I think should bring $129,000. I think that's the value of a car. One of these editions, they do bring a premium over just a standard S by a lot. The X51 helps, and all the special details that we've already covered. I don't think this car is going to end there, so I'm going to say $109,000, and I'll be curious to know if $109,000 is going to reach this customer's reserve or what Shiftgate allowed them to put it on for. So I'll be curious to see how this one ends.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think it gets anywhere near that. I mean, yes, they're worth more than S's, but this is a lot of miles. 50,000 miles, over 50,000 miles. That kills this car. That this is one of those things where if you're going to buy one of these special edition things, it better have low miles because once it gets into driver miles, the special edition kind of thing kind of goes out the window. If this were an S with 50,000 miles and a PDK, what year is this car? These are 14s, right?
14, yeah. 991.1.
Yeah, I mean, a 14S with 50,000 miles and a PDK, you're lucky if you get 70 or 80. I mean, on a good day. So, yeah, this car gets a premium over that, but it's on a weird place and an obscure site. I think the person would be way better off putting this on the PCA website or the their classifieds or Renlist or Pelican or just about anywhere for that matter. And look, I want to support Shiftgate, but this car there's a special person that wants this thing, and there's that special person that wants one of these with 50,000 miles on it. Everyone that wants a 50-year anniversary car wants one with 5,000 miles on it.
That's true. It's true. But those are now bringing 160 and more, which we've seen at some of the Big Ten auctions like RM Sotheby's and all that sort of thing.
Sure.
So some of those cars are starting to bring big money in this market. So where's your bid, JP? If I say 109,000 and our car's sitting at 67 with a week to go, what do you think it's going to land at, even if it doesn't sell there?
If we were on BAT, I think you'd get that number, but I don't think this thing breaks 100. So I'm going to say 99. $99,000 on Shiftgate, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope Shiftgate brings all the money for it, because it does, by all accounts, seem like seems like they're nice people over there, and we wish them success. I want to say this: I would like nothing more than one of these other auction sites to start to eat Bring a Trailer's lunch. I think Bring a Trailer gets away with a lot of BS. I mean, this whole thing where you got to wait weeks and weeks and basically months to get your car to market, the way they treat you, the interaction is just, it's just so impersonal and so insulated and removed and antiseptic, and it's not a fun experience doing the BAT thing. And I've done it a few times, and I know you have too.
Miserably.
And then, but they're still better than P-Car Market. You can actually get a human being, if you can call them that. You can get you can get a person. I don't know if they have a soul. But and then Cars and Bids. Honestly, I like Cars and Bids. I think that everyone over there is really nice, but I just don't think they have the eyeballs. So they can't, and they really have a problem with the aesthetic. I love the aesthetic of Shiftgate. I love that they're trying to mix things up. I think the same thing goes for Marked, which is another site out there. I like the advertising campaign that Shiftgate did. Yeah,
Porsche owns Marked, and yet we hardly talk about them. They're doing 2-3 cars at a time, and it's a weird selection, like a Z3 and a motorcycle, and it's like, come on, man, let's where the Porsches at. I want them to do better marketing so that they have got better product, and then we can start covering them all the time. But anyway, this will be interesting to see. Would love nothing more than for Shiftgate to prove us wrong and bring more than both of our bids and sell this car, and we will start to pay closer attention. So let's see what happens.
All right, guys, hit the subscribe, like, and notification button right now, and right after this, we will show you how much this 50-year anniversary 911 brings on Shiftgate. Okay, guys, I want to tell you about Vegas Auto Fest. The drivers are coming. This is one of our big sponsors. It's the biggest car show of the year in Las Vegas. It's one of the coolest car shows you can possibly experience anywhere. If you haven't made plans to be part of Vegas Auto Fest on September 17th, then do it now. Go to VegasAutoFest.com and register your car. You think you're a car enthusiast? Doesn't matter where you live. Plan a trip to Vegas on September 17th and come out and see this show. It's like Monterey Car Week all in a day. Have you ever been to the Quail? Have you ever been to Works Reunion? Have you ever been to Amelia Island? All those car shows are amazing and great. Have you been to Luftkult? Sure, but Vegas Auto Fest is something special. Make a plan for September 17th. We'll see you in Vegas. Okay, guys, welcome back to the future. We are about to tell you what happened with this 50th anniversary car on Shiftgate. This sure is a beautiful car, but tell us about what happened on the auction there, Michael Deeb. What happened? Which one of us was right? Which one of us was wrong?
JP, interesting result. Like, interesting car, interesting platform, and interesting result. I would say, to be perfectly honest, we were both wrong in a lot of ways. So we know Shiftgate's a newcomer, and they've got a ways to go. They got to really pull themselves up the mountain if they have a chance to make it. And I think when we look at the 50th anniversary 911 as a special car, you and I probably both thought that this car was worth a little more money, but we sort of bet the platform. So I went $109,000 thinking that if they could get to that mark, it might sell. You were a little more bullish on it and said $99,000. I don't think you were confident that it would sell at that price on this platform. To Shiftgate's credit, they got 38 bids for a total final bid of $118,000. The unfortunate problem here is the consignor wanted more money for the car, and so it failed to sell at $118,000. I would say for a 50,000 mile car, that number is kind of in the wheelhouse. So I think Shiftgate probably should have done a stronger job of governing this auction, like negotiating this auction before it came in. In other words, at $118,000 or $115,000, reserve should have been met and this car should have rolled, and that did not happen, which leads me to believe that Shiftgate sort of bent over backwards for an unreasonable consignor, thinking that his car was worth more money and could bring more money on this sort of smaller newcomer platform. In this regard, it seems like every one of us was wrong. The consignor was wrong, the platform was wrong, and you and I, as the commentators, we all got it wrong. $118,000 should have got this car, and that didn't happen. The other interesting thing is Shiftgate, sort of like our friends over at PCAR Market, have a post-auction classified section for cars that don't sell. They call it second gear. Our friends at PCAR Market call it, what do they call it? The deal tank. This car has not arrived in the deal tank. Now, my friend at Shiftgate said that the consignor was on holiday, so maybe that's the problem. I expect this car to sort of show up at second gear. I do not know if it's contractually obligated to go to their sort of classified section or if that's just an option. So we have a few more things to learn. Shiftgate's got a few more bugs to iron out. And I hope they can do a stronger job up front of negotiating so that cars like this have a chance, because the more cars they sell, the better chance they have of succeeding. Really nice car, actually decent result, but they didn't get the final, this car didn't roll. And I just think that everybody dropped the ball. So I don't know, JP, what do you think?
Well, do you know what the buyer's premium is on Shiftgate? I know it's between 4 and 5% probably. Yeah. I mean, that's what most of them are asking for. Look, if this were on BAT and it were within $5,000 of their of the reserve, BAT will usually eat a portion or much of their buyer's premium in order to make the sale happen, because they'd rather see a sale happen than not. And so that makes me think that, well, Shiftgate's got to do the same thing. I'm pretty sure Cars and Bids has a similar deal. That's probably, we saw the other week a GT3. It didn't bid and then it said sold after. Okay, so they're either going in there after the fact or they're just whatever. How much of that is communication between the selling platform and the buyer and the seller, trying to get everyone to kind of work together, and how much of that is the platform kind of taking it in the shorts and saying, all right, we'd rather have a sale and take less commission in order to make the sale. And that's a wise move on the platform's part. I got to think that if that were the case, I mean, if this thing were bid up to 118,000, and it were, what's 4% of that? I mean, you're talking about another, you're talking about there's another $4,000, $5,000 in play. So $118, you're looking at somewhere $122, $123. This guy's reserve was higher than that for a 50,000 mile plus 991, even with a 50-year badge. I just don't see it, and I don't think this car would have gone for much more on a different platform. So, Doug DeMuro was smart on his platform with that GT3. He made it happen. Hell or high water, he knew that it better make it, because if it doesn't, it's going to really hurt his platform when auctions are probably going to get a little bit more difficult rather than easier. For Shiftgate to fail on this one and not make that happen, that means they were either grossly wrong on letting this person take with the reserve, or they just failed to negotiate at the end. And the seller is not available, so the car isn't even going. That just seems like a narrative. That doesn't seem he's not around. Yeah, BS, he's not around. He was there at the end of that auction. Someone talked to him. If they didn't, then that is negligence on Shiftgate's fault. Yeah, I think Shiftgate's in trouble.
I think they got to do a better job up front, or they don't stand a chance. Sign or dictate the terms. But that's never going to. You know what I mean? Look what's happening at PCAR. That's the problem there. They get very consistent results. The thing you can say about PCAR is that they get pretty regular results. You know what I mean?
to P-Car's credit, though, they get pretty. I mean, they sell cars, they move cars, and they don't get as many eyeballs as BAT, but they certainly seem to be doing as well or better than Cars and Bids. If not, Cars and Bids is more consistent, but their cars aren't usually on the same level as P-Car Market. P-Car Market gets some really good cars, and they sell them often. So I like to bust P-Car's chops a lot because I do have a problem with kind of some of their practices, but they still are kind of the second best game in town, and by a big margin, especially if you're a real Porsche enthusiast or someone that's into really more special cars. Cars and Bids cars just usually aren't that special. So Shiftgate is not, for Shiftgate or even Marked for that matter, for any of these guys that are coming into this market, they need to step the F up in order to gain, what are you guys doing? You're just burning money. Whose money are you guys burning? Because it's not cheap to run this stuff. Ask our friends at Rad for Sale. So anyways, kind of an interesting story. We'll see what happens with this, I guess. Maybe we'll do an update and see if it does wind up in their second gear. We should get
Stacy Puckett Taylor to be a guest on one day, have her do some biz with us, and maybe she can explain a little bit more about the duties at Shiftgate. But anyway, interesting result, beautiful car, and it's still out there. Somewhere the car's still available. I wish that car has stick. I wish that car has sports seats. I'd be all over it. But that particular example is not for me. So onward and upward.
There it is, guys. All right, what do you think of the results? Do you think this car should have brought more money? Would it have brought more money on another platform? Let us know in the comments below, right after you hit the subscribe, like, and notification button. You got to let everybody know that bid nerds are nerding out every day on the YouTube machine. Talking about the most interesting car of the day from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites. We will see you tomorrow.
Get those words!